Oral History of 2008. I'm Chris Abercrombie, a member of the Board of Directors of the Smoky Valley Historical Association, and we're currently working on a modern series of oral histories with people who lived in and influenced the people of the Smoky Valley over the years. And with me is Jay Richardson, a videographer, as usual, and our interviewee today. Today is Friday, the 4th of January, 2008. I may have said that once, but just to make sure. And interviewing today Margaret Stromquist, who was a long time in the school district here in Lindsborg, a Bethany College graduate, raised two children, two boys here in Lindsborg, and was married to Vivian Stromquist, who was a longtime manager, director of the Swedish Insurance, Swedish American Insurance, that's right. Sorry about that. And I believe his father was in it before him, isn't that correct?
There were generations of Stromquist before that.
Well, Margaret, first of all, where are you from originally? What was your maiden name?
Well, I grew up in Wellington, Kansas, where I was born. My father's name was George Hunt, an English name, and his mother was German.
Okay. So you are of English and German descent then?
That's right.
And you ended up becoming an adopted Swede then?
A Swedish person by marriage.
By marriage, okay. And how did you happen to end up in the Smoky Valley?
Because of Emory Lundquist, I think.
Oh.
He came to my home after I graduated from high school. I wasn't there, but he talked to my parents, and he made such a good impression on my father and offered a scholarship that that's where I came to college.
You came here to Bethany.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not prying too much, about what year would that have been?
I started in the fall of 1934.
34.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And, yes, Jay? If anything's wrong, just holler. Just tell me.
Probably the microphone.
Is the mic not working right?
It's working, but it's a little bit of a buzz. I don't know if that's enough to...
Excuse us, Margaret.
Mm-hmm. That's okay.
Did you pause it?
No.
The battery.
I don't see
Good.
the battery display now.
Okay.
It was saying 31 minutes.
Okay.
Or 25 minutes.
Okay, well, let's roll.
It's wrong.
Okay, good. We're back with Margaret Stromquist, and after trying to fix a little technical snafu, Margaret, you were talking about coming to Bethany College. Emory Lundquist recruited you to come to Bethany, and what did you major in when you got here?
English.
English. Well, that makes a lot of sense.
English with minors in history and speech.
Okay. Can you remember some of your activities in college? What were some of the fun things you enjoyed doing on campus?
Well, actually, coming to Bethany was a cultural shock for me. I grew up in a community that was comprised of all nationalities, and nobody paid any attention to his nationality. There weren't any traditions or anything. So we had a lot of fun with the traditions that the Swedes had, because we'd never heard of such things before.
Uh-huh.
And drinking coffee. We never drank coffee, but we learned to drink coffee. And trying to outwit people to get out of doing things, typical stupid college freshman.
Sure. Now, did you live in Lane Hart?
The first year we lived at Lane Hart, and that was a really strange experience because it was such an antiquated building.
Even in 1934?
Yes, we stood on wooden, soggy platforms to take a shower, and the water closet on the toilet was up on the wall, and you had to pull a chain. We'd never seen such things before. We thought we'd moved into the past.
Well, it sounds like you did.
It was very We had a lot of fun with that stuff because we'd never encountered such things before.
And that's amazing because in 1964 there were still girls living, 30 years later there were still girls living.
Well, I'm sure they
Linhart.
had modernized things a little bit as far as
sure.
the plumbing was concerned.
Sure.
I don't know.
Well, I would imagine when Linhart was first built, the bathroom was a little building out back. So, I think it sounds like
What-
you had it really made compared to what other students maybe have had to.
I guess so. We didn't realize how fortunate we were, probably.
What about theater productions? Were you involved in?
No,
No?
I wasn't in college.
Okay.
No.
Who were some of your English teachers?
Well, when I was a freshman, Emory Lundquist picked a few people for a special class, and I was in that for my freshman year.
Oh, uh-huh.
And after that, I think it was Dr. Annabelle Auld.
Dr. Auld.
Mm-hmm. She was there. I think she came when I was there. And she stayed for many years, and she was there when my oldest son started Bethany. And he was in her English class, and she said, "Oh, here's my first grandson."
Okay. Now, had Emory already been to England to study?
Yes, he'd finished that.
Okay, and he was back at Bethany to stay now.
He was a professor.
Yes. Okay. Because he would have graduated maybe not too long before 1934. So
I think so.
right.
He was pretty young.
What about football games and just college activities? Do you remember participating in campus life?
Well, I didn't play football.
No.
I belonged to a sorority, which was a lot of fun.
Which one?
Kappa.
You were Kappa. Okay.
Mhm. But as far as any special activities, I don't recall. The past is something
You never dwell in.
I never dwelt on the past. I never saved anything, and so I can't tell a lot of stories like some people can because
Okay.
I was always thinking about the next day, and what I was doing today didn't seem important.
Sure. Well, you proceed through Bethany and get your degree and a teaching certificate, I assume.
Well, at the end of my sophomore year, got a certificate. They called it a 60-hour certificate.
Okay.
And I had to teach school for a couple of years to finance my final years at Bethany. So I was in country schools, and that was quite an experience too. The first one, I got $50 a month, and I had to live with a man and his spinster daughter. It was just across the road from the school, but the house had no plumbing, no central heating. I had to sleep in an unheated bedroom and spend the daylight hours with the family and listen to his strange stories.
Oh my goodness.
It was really strange.
Now, where was that?
Well, that was near a town called Milan. I always said that I grew up near Rome, which is a little town about a mile from our farm, and taught my first year in Milan.
Okay. But in Kansas, we call it Milan instead.
We call it Milan.
Okay. Now, we maybe have missed something here. Back in your days at Bethany, is that where you met Viv Stromquist?
I didn't meet him until my senior year.
Okay, so it's after you came back then from.
I came back to finish.
And when did you come back? About what year?
Well, I went to summer school for a couple of summers, the years that I taught. I taught 2 years and went to summer school. So I was ready for my senior year when I came back.
Okay,
I took some correspondence courses. So
sure.
I actually spent only 3 full years at Bethany, and I graduated in 1939.
39, okay. Just before the war.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been an interesting period of time to be alive.
Well, there were dust storms at Bethany.
Oh, yeah.
I remember those. It was interesting, but I didn't, as I said, dwell much on what I was doing.
Sure. Did you sing in the Messiah chorus or?
For the first 2 years I did.
Okay. Okay, under Dr. Brasi.
Dr. Brasi.
Are there any other teachers other than Dr. Auld and Emory Lundquist that you remember as being special?
Well, the PE teacher I thought was really great. Her name was Jane Sweet, and she had come from Chicago.
Uh-huh.
And we did so many interesting things in PE classes that I really enjoyed that. And she was sort of a modern person, as in contrast to the other women teachers. They looked like people out of a chapter of Dickens' novels, I thought.
Oh, my goodness. Well, yeah.
They were older, and they dressed in dark, long dresses and had very severe attitudes toward things.
Well, I think back in those days, even in the 30s and maybe even into the 40s, Lindsborg and Bethany was kind of a closed society.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't willing to accept new ways of doing things.
Oh,
It's
no.
the way we've always done it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
We couldn't dance. We had to go to Salina to do that. And we couldn't, in the dorm in Lanehart Hall, we were supervised very strictly on Sundays so that we didn't do anything that would be classified as out of place. Like wash your hair or do your laundry.
Never on Sunday.
Never on Sunday.
Okay. Well, now you said in your senior year you met Viv Stromquist.
Mm-hmm.
And was he a Gamma by chance?
He had been a Gamma.
So I know that the Kappas and Gammas were brother and sister.
Yes, and my son was a Gamma too. But,
Okay, right.
but he had already graduated from Bethany.
Viv had. Okay.
And he was working at Swedish American.
Okay, now tell us about Swedish American. You said the Stromquist family has been here for a long time, and as I mentioned earlier, Viv's father actually was involved with
And
Swedish
some
American.
of his, I don't know whether they were uncles or what, but they were a generation or two older than he.
Now tell us what Swedish American Insurance was.
It was a mutual insurance company that covered primarily property,
Property, okay.
real estate property. I don't think they insured households, but I can't say that for sure.
And did they cover crop losses and that sort of thing too, or was it just strictly
It was just property, I think.
property? Okay.
But the Swedish American people sold crop insurance from other companies. One of them was the McPherson Hale insurance company that my great uncle had founded in Wellington.
Oh my, small world.
Mm-hmm.
So, what year did you and Viv get married then?
1940,
1940.
after I'd taught a year
Okay.
in Wellington.
Or you went back down to Wellington to teach.
Mm-hmm. I taught one more year.
Okay. And you came back to Lindsborg, and
I haven't moved away since,
Sure.
except during the war.
now were the Stromquists already members of Messiah Lutheran Church?
Oh, yes. J.O. was a very active member in the Messiah Lutheran Church.
Okay.
He taught Sunday school. He was on the council. He even extended his interest to the Augustana Synod. He was very active in church and Lutheran Synod.
Now it gets kind of confusing, even for me, and I'm a native here, and third generation Lindsborgite, but we had J.O. Sundstrom and J.O. Stromquist.
Right.
And so the two names are so similar.
And that got confused in the first Hillningsfest, I think.
Ah,
Now, J.O. Stromquist was instrumental in bringing Dr. Hawarda to town, so we'd have a younger doctor. The others were getting older. And he sort of mentored him through the first years and saw that he had food to eat and that sort of thing. And then when Doc Hawarda started the Hillningsfest, J.O. helped him. Now, in the history of the Hillningsfest in the programs, I think it says J.O. Sundstrom, but it should have been Mr. and Mrs. J.O. Stromquist.
Stromquist, okay. And J.O. Stromquist was also involved with the Farmer State Bank, as I recall. Is that correct?
Yes, he was active there too.
He
He was also a representative from this district in the Kansas legislature.
Oh my.
And I think he had been mayor of Lindsborg.
Well, and so Viv was working with his father. Did they have their offices on Main Street on that corner building at Lincoln and Main at that time?
At that time, previously, it had been on Main Street where the Hanson clothing had been,
Oh, okay,
but I don't know what's there now.
okay. I think it's
But that building had a vault in it, the Hanson Clothing Company, which had been the vault of the Swedish
I
American
remember
Insurance.
that in the back there. Carl, I think that's where Carl Victor did his alterations
Right,
back in the
something
vault.
like that, or you tried on your trousers there.
Okay, all right. And so then after the commercial state bank failed,
Swedish
the
American.
Swedish American moved into the corner building there. It would be the northwest corner of Lincoln and Main Street
Where the Emporium and
Yeah, the
Swedish
Swedish-
pastries is.
today. And it's been a dental office
Yes.
and other things over the years.
And then A.V. Stromquist had the new building constructed out on East.
Is that State
State.
Street?
Where,
In fact, I think they bought that land from one C.A. Abercrombie, if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
really?
Yes.
Probably. But they built that new building approximately the same time as Farmer State Bank was building a new building, I think.
Uh-huh, okay.
Maybe a little after that.
And so you start raising a family, and you have two sons,
I do.
John and Robert. And John was born in what year? He's the older one,
He was born in 1941 in the old hospital
which was the,
where Rohrbaugh lives now.
okay, all right.
Dr. Howard had set that up, and he was the only doctor there, I think.
That would be on the corner of First and State Street.
Sort of down the block east of where his office was.
Sure. And was Bob born there too?
No, I think Bob was born in the new hospital.
Well, I don't know. See, I was born in the old hospital. And Bob's older than I am, so I'll bet he
Oh,
was
maybe
born.
he was.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I bet he was also born in that building, that house that is once again a residence. Again, this is on the northwest corner of First and State Streets.
Southwest.
Or south.
Southeast.
No, I think it'd be north. It's north of, you know where Carl Pete lived. Well, either,
Right across the
yeah,
street.
Right across from where the Petersons lived. And the Elvines lived over right across the street, east. Sure.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, and Bob was born in what year then?
46.
46. So you have one born in 1941.
One in 46.
46, okay.
5
two
years
sons.
apart, so they didn't have to be in school at the same
Well,
time.
that was pretty good timing.
And J.O.'s daughter, Grace Stromquist, was a nurse. And she had a maternity hospital before there was this other hospital.
Was that up on North 2nd Street?
It was a little house on North 2nd Street, just south of the house that J.O. and his family lived in.
Which turned into the Hermanson house. Was that where the Hermansons lived?
And that's where Dean Bales lives now.
Okay, so that house up on, it'd be across the street, cat corner across the street from the Jadaborg house. So that was the Stromquist house.
Yes, and the Stromquist boy and the Jadaborg boys played together.
Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. So we travel on through here. You mentioned the first Hillingsfest. Do you have any recollections of that weekend?
I think it rained a lot.
It did. 11 inches from what I
I
recall.
think so, something like that. But my oldest son, John, was just a few months old when he had a Swedish costume.
Oh, boy. Did you take him downtown and show him up on the platform they had in Lincoln and Maine? Or?
Well, I don't think we
Okay.
showed him off.
All right. And so you are now becoming a Swede by the time you marry Viv Stromquist.
Oh, I learned to eat Swedish food.
Okay. How about lutfisk?
I don't mind it, but I don't go out of my way to procure it.
Okay.
It's all right, you know, if somebody else fixes it.
Did you carry on the Swedish traditions with food during the holidays and whatnot in your household?
Yes, even I fix lutfisk.
Okay.
Viv would bring home this dry lutfisk and would soak it in the basement in lye water for X number of days and all that sort of thing. And we had duppagryta and all that, everything.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Of course, we just went through that, through the holidays.
But My kids don't demand that at all.
Ah, okay. Now, we go ahead and, are you teaching all the way along here through the 40s and into the 50s?
No, I didn't start teaching until 1957.
Okay, so you had the boys pretty well
Yes.
grown.
John was a junior in high school.
Okay.
And Bob was a 6th grader or something.
In 57. So you then at that time went right to the high school?
Mhm. Yes, I was sort of drafted by Soderstrom. He called me and wanted me to be the English teacher. And I didn't think I could handle high school, so I said no. I'd never taught in a high school. And so they hired somebody else, and then she broke the contract, and he called me again, and I felt sorry for him. So I tried it, and it turned out the most fun I ever had.
There we go. Okay. And we're talking about...
Right.
All right. We're back with Margaret Stromquist, visiting about her adventures teaching at Lindsborg High School. Margaret, you said you started teaching at the high school in 1957. At the time, and now this is the building that in 2008 is now the middle school.
That's right.
But at that time it was the high school, and it was a relatively new building.
It wasn't a new building. It's about 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Because John was the first class to enter that and graduate from it.
Okay. All right. And so he graduated then in 58?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Okay.
Or 59.
59? Okay. Now, you were teaching English, excuse me, I remember your classroom when I was in school. Did you have the same classroom all the way through?
Almost all until, I think when Gehring was principal, he thought my class was too noisy because we were always doing something. And so he moved me up to the north end by the Boag.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that. That would have been after I left. Then.
Yes, it was. But I had that other room for many years.
Sure. And that would have been the first classroom as you walk past the library and the hallway that went to the west wing. You walk past the restrooms, and then
There it was.
on your right-hand side would be your classroom.
Mhm.
Sure. What are your memories of teaching high school?
I worked harder than anybody else, I thought.
Okay,
I had so many extracurricular duties.
you did.
I remember the first year I was there, I told the senior class they should have a yearbook. But I said, I don't have time to sponsor it. So they got Voorhees to sponsor the first one. And then later on it fell to me. And then we revived the newspaper. You remember that?
Well, there was some guy that came to school there in his sophomore year, suggested we have a newspaper, and of course that fell on your shoulders. So
It did.
thanks to me, you suddenly had a whole lot more responsibility.
Yes. And besides that, I had to do the plays
Yes, I remember that.
one each year. And then Gehring decided I should sponsor the student council. And I was just really busy.
Did they give you a little extra money in the paycheck for all this?
I think for doing the plays, 2 a
Okay.
year, I got $100
Total.
total. It was almost an insult.
Right, okay. At least they were recognizing that.
Oh yes, they did that.
One thing that I've always thought is not fair is the fact that, a winning football coach, will be memorialized forever.
Oh
You
yes.
walk into the current Smoky Valley High School, and even Gladdy Dick is memorialized, in the
Really?
trophy case, and certainly Bill Engstrom and
Oh,
people like
yeah.
that. I see no memorials to the English teachers.
No, they don't get much recognition.
Even though you probably in later life are more important to the students, what your teaching is, than football would be.
Possibly. Possibly.
I'm sure there are those who would disagree with
Oh,
me
yes.
on that one.
But many students have been glad they took my senior composition class because it helped them in college, etc.
Now, you in that day and age were when the kids were coming up from grade school, they were already pretty well literate and probably had a pretty good idea of how to put together a proper sentence and that sort of thing.
Some of them did.
Okay.
Most of them did, I guess, but
Right.
they had a hard time formulating full paragraphs sometimes to make sense of it.
Sure. Now, you also taught speech, as I recall.
Mhm.
And we had a lot of fun in speech class. You let us do some far-out projects.
I always let kids do far out things because I never asked permission and I never told anybody what I was doing, so I got away with a lot of things.
Don't ask, don't tell. Huh?
Right, right.
Okay. I remember for some reason, I was in a class with a bunch of seniors, and I was a junior, or maybe they were juniors and I was a sophomore, whatever the case may be. And we did a adaptation of A Night Before Christmas with all kinds of sound effects and music. We did it on tape. I was always interested in tape recording and using audio, and so I did a lot of that in your class. It was a lot of fun.
I was always glad to have students that like to do those things.
It makes it more interesting, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when did you finally retire from teaching?
Well, I left the high school, I don't remember what year, because I told Einar Jadeborg, who was then superintendent, that I was tired of all that work. I just didn't want to work that hard. So the nice man that he was, a few months later, came and said, "How would you like to start a library over in the Soderstrom School?" So I did, because I had taken a lot of hours of library science preparation. So they gave me an empty room, the old kindergarten room, and said, "Make us a library."
Oh, well.
So there wasn't even a shelf in there. So we had shelves made that were portable, you could roll around, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I set out establishing a library. And it took about 6 years to get it really up to what it should be, because the budget wasn't very big each year.
Sure.
But that was kind of fun too.
Well, that's something not everybody has an opportunity to do.
No.
To start a library.
I always liked to start things. I never cared to finish them, but
You can do it your way.
I love to start things.
Absolutely. As I recall, at Soderstrom, prior to that, the quote-unquote library materials were in each classroom, stored along the walls.
Right, you're right.
Yeah, so now it's all been brought together.
Then they built a new library when they remodeled the building.
Oh, okay.
And they asked me to design a new library. And knowing the tendency of school boards, etc., I made a very elegant diagram, because I knew they'd cut it down.
Okay.
And that's what happened, but it turned out to be pretty satisfactory, except they cut the storage space, so it was too small. But
Okay.
it serves better than the old kindergarten room, which they converted to kindergarten again.
Sure. Now, Swedish American during this time is continuing to prosper. But Viv became ill and died then. When did that happen?
He died in 78,
78?
about 2 years after he retired.
Okay.
He retired at 65, but he hadn't been well for about 10 years.
Now, was Curtis Carlson in with him at that time?
Yes, Curtis, a former student of mine, was employed by Swedish American, and when my husband retired, Curtis took over the job of being the manager of it.
And then I believe Tom Poole was after.
Yes, there was A.V. Stromquist and C.V. Carlson and then T.V. Poole. And then they sold out to some other company.
And since the company was very near and dear to your heart, were you disappointed when they sold? Or did it matter to you, really?
Well, it didn't really matter because I didn't own any stock in it or anything. There wasn't such a thing. The people who took out the policies were the mutual owners of it,
Sure.
so there was no real personal interest in it except the tradition of the Stromquist.
Sure, sure. And so then they sold, and the Swedish American ceased to exist.
Mm-hmm. like Farmer States used to exist.
Oh yes, my father's old bank. Not to
Yes.
be confused with the new Farmer State Bank that's out on the highways.
Yes.
So stop for just a minute. Now I know Viv was active in organizations in town, and I'm sure active with the Chamber of Commerce and that sort of thing.
He was a big promoter of Bethany College too.
Right.
Which Swedish American always sponsored broadcasts of all the athletic events, along with Farmer State Bank.
Sure. Now, do I remember correctly? Was he a member of Rod and Gun Club?
He was a member of the Rod and Gun Club, and he served on the city council, and he was treasurer of the school board, and we were also charter members of the Jonathan Club.
The what now?
The Jonathan Club.
What is the Jonathan Club?
Well, at that time, it was a group of people who wanted to dance, and we met above the Swedish American when there was just a big hall up there, not converted to apartments. And then we took over the Masonic building and used the second floor of that, and I guess we rented it. And so I don't know how often they met, but they just met and ate and danced.
Okay.
Somebody who worked at the mill was from California, Bethany graduate. He knew of a club in California that did that sort of thing called the Jonathan Club. That's how it got its name.
The Jonathan Club. Nobody knows why it's called Jonathan.
Because
the person who named it was Jonathan?
No, because there was a club in California.
Okay.
That was called the Jonathan Club, and this guy from California thought we should call ours the Jonathan.
Specifically the name Jonathan,
I have no
nobody knows
idea.
where that came from.
We never had any idea about that.
Okay. Now, on the Rod and Gun Club, there's an interesting history there. Was Viv a charter member out there?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I know your dad was a member, and Doc Hawerda and Doc Langerman, and Burr Green, the tailor,
Seitz?
and Earl Maiden.
Yeah. And was Rudy Sutherland, was he a member out there? I don't
think so.
All right.
I don't think so. But the first date I ever had with my husband was a picnic at the Rod and Gun Club.
At the Rod and Gun Club.
They had an annual picnic.
And the club is still going strong. They have a good membership.
I think so, but it used to be very difficult to get into it. They would blackball people just for small things they didn't like. I don't think they do that anymore.
No. Well, now you've been involved with Messiah Lutheran Church then since about 1940. And the church this year in 2008 is celebrating its 100th anniversary.
And I think I've been there most of the time.
Yeah, well, it seems like it.
About 60 years.
Yeah. Now, Margaret, what, being a church lady, what are some of your memories of working with other ladies and preparing meals in the basement kitchen and that sort of thing?
Well, because I was teaching a lot of the time, I didn't get in on that. But I remember my mother-in-law, Nancy Stromquist. That was her life. All her friends were participants in the Messiah Church. She never invited anybody to her home except the ladies from the Messiah Church. And that always struck me as rather strange because my mother had everybody, she didn't care who they were. But that was an important thing.
Well, what are some of your memories of some of your favorite pastors, for instance, and some of the...
Well, I think I've known all the pastors since Willis Olson's dead.
Okay.
And I don't know who was before him. I think it was the first pastor of the Messiah Church. There have been about 10 of them, I think.
Sure.
Well, let's see. I liked Picard.
Okay.
He was a very friendly guy. But before that, they were just there. You know, I didn't have much association with them.
Messiah has always been called a singing church.
They've always been proud of their music.
Yep. And very good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Even though traditionally Messiah has been smaller than Bethany Church, it maybe musicianship has been a step above.
Well, or else they've just worked on it harder.
Worked harder?
Because they've had some very outstanding musicians in Bethany Church.
Well, you're right. You're right there.
And they get, probably Brossi started it because he was so good. He did both the choir and the organ, you know, he did them together.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have a choir director. The organist was the director.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be interesting.
But after Brossi, I don't mean Brossi, I mean Wallen.
You're talking about Messiah now. You're talking about Arvid Wallen then. Okay.
I'm talking about Arvid Wallen.
Okay.
Sorry. He was the organist and the director. And after he left, I don't think we had anybody that performed both director and organist.
They're separate positions
Uh-huh.
now. Sure. And I think some of the longtime conductors, well, Kathleen Robinson, didn't she conduct it for a while?
Kathleen was there a long time, and that's the only one I remember.
Helen Gusenius, maybe? Or did she sing just? Was she
She
primarily a
didn't
singer?
direct the
Okay.
choir. I don't
Okay.
think she did. And then Becky's been there a long time, Becky Anderson.
Becky Anderson, who is another former student.
Mm-hmm.
How much gratification do you get from gray-haired old former students of yours like me showing up at the front door and saying, hey, you were a great teacher and we sure enjoyed your classes?
Oh, I think, I don't know. I suppose I get a little satisfaction of it. I sometimes wonder about their judgment.
Okay. Well, I know
But,
that. Yeah, go ahead.
You know, you feel good for a minute or so when they say, oh, you made me feel important in class, you know. It's a little girl that you barely remember comes up years later and says, you made me feel so important. I'm so glad I took speech class.
Sure.
And there were others that said, I was so scared I wouldn't go to your speech class. I think that was Dorothy Smith, probably.
Oh, okay.
And somebody would say, oh, I remember when I won second place in the state tennis championship. You told me next year I'd be champion, and here I am, you know.
Well, that's great.
And things like that you think of it. And because I took your class, I could do well in college. But I'm sure there are a lot that don't even remember being there.
Sure. Well, I'm glad I learned how to put a sentence together.
Do you remember when you got a scholarship to go to summer school at KU?
Yes, I do. That it's my personal story, but I had spent the previous 2 summers going off to Boy Scout activities.
Mm-hmm.
One was going to Europe, and one was going to Valley Forge. And so between my junior and junior and senior years, my parents said, Chris, you're going to stay here and you're going to work this summer. You're not going to go gallivanting off to some adventure.
Right.
And I said, well, we'll see about that. So I asked you to write a letter of recommendation to what's called the Midwestern Music and Art Camp at Kansas University. They had a journalism division,
right.
which I was very interested in. I approached J.J. Walters of the Lindsborg News Record, and he supplied me with a scholarship. And between the two, my summer was paid for. Thank you to your letter and to JJ's contribution and his generosity in the news record.
But your mother wasn't too happy with me. I remember that.
Well, where there's a will, there's a way.
And I remember I got a similar a scholarship just like that later for Bruce Erickson.
Oh, okay.
And he turned out to be a journalism teacher in colleges. So.
Absolutely. I see him frequently. He's back to town to see his mom.
Oh, is he?
From time to time, yeah. It takes a minute to look, and, you know, he isn't like some of us who's put on a few pounds. He's still pretty slim and trim, but, you know, the gray hair and whatnot sometimes can be a little deceiving.
You can't believe it.
Right.
They've got gray hair too, you know.
Right. I looked in the mirror the other day. I think I'm getting more gray. But,
Well, some people gray very young.
sure.
I knew a girl in college who was 19 who had white hair.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, tell us about John and Robert now. What are they doing? Where are they? Do you have grandkids?
I have no grandchildren,
Okay.
and that doesn't bother me. I never thought I had to have grandchildren. John lives in the state of New York, and he has retired from working for the state for 30 years or so. And he has his own business now. And he calls it ProConsort. It deals with the software for academic libraries. And they solicit vendors. And it's a big business, and he has lots of employees that work out of their home all over the United States. He's very busy.
And then Bob?
Well, Bob is more low-key. He works in Kansas City for a bus company.
Oh,
A school
okay.
that sells school buses or contracts buses to schools over in Kansas and Oklahoma and Missouri, I think.
Is that by chance Durham?
It's called Midwest.
Midwest, okay.
And they have sold buses from time to time to Lindsborg.
Okay.
And one time, because he was from Lindsborg, they asked him how to spell Smoky Valley. He put an E in it.
Oh no!
So yeah, it was always embarrassing to him.
Sure.
But spelling was never his forte.
Well, it throws a lot of people off. You need to leave the E out of Smoky Valley.
Unless you're talking about Smokey the Bear. Then you can
Smokey
put
the Bear.
E in.
There we go.
I think.
Okay. Well, Margaret, I hesitate to ask this, but I know that you're proud of it. Can you tell us your age?
Last November I was 91.
Yep, I knew it.
You did?
I knew it was 90 or 91. And you're still on your own,
Yes.
getting along quite nicely.
I'm very satisfied with my surroundings.
Yes. And you have a lot of friends in town. A lot of rides here, rides there, people taking care of you.
Well, if I in the mood.
Sure. And, well, we want to thank you very much for giving us this time, and I know that historians in the future are going to be very interested in hearing what you have to say.
Possibility. Maybe not.
Okay. Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate your time. We're visiting once again with Margaret Stromquist. A couple of things that we neglected to cover in the original interview. First of all, Margaret, tell us about the Raymer Society and your efforts on their behalf.
Well, when Lester died, he left his accumulated wealth to the Raymer Society, a few or several $100,000. And the society decided to restore the studio. And we found, after we got into it, that it was a pretty dangerous place because the structure Raymer had done himself. Some of the insulation was just newspapers, and the wiring was very homemade. It's like electrical extension cords strung together. But the things that he had made to decorate the studio were priceless. So Landvis Larson.
Or Nelson. Landvis Nelson?
Landvis Larson, the contractor,
I'm sorry, okay.
was the one who did most of the restoration. He took pictures of everything and then rebuilt the interior.
Okay.
We put in air conditioning and central heating. Before there'd been nothing like that.
Ah.
And it took a few years and lots of work, but to the person that would go in now, it looks like it did when he was there, but it smells better.
And it's safer.
And it is safe. And we can preserve things by having air control.
Sure. And that would be the Red Barn Studio
That's
down
the
on
Red Barn Studio.
South Main Street, just south of the Brunswick.
Between the Brunswick and the Methodist Church.
Sure. Okay, go ahead and answer the phone if you want to.
Where was I?
Well, we were talking about the Raymer Society and getting the building fixed up, and you said Lee Larson. Is he commonly known as Lee Larson, the contractor, or is it?
What did I call
You said Landvis Larson. Or is this another Larson? I'm.
Well, maybe I've got the wrong name.
Okay.
Is Lee Larson the contractor?
Yes.
I should have said Lee Larson.
Okay, all right.
You can edit that.
Well, that's fine.
And we've expanded the membership considerably. While I was president, we hired an executive director. The first one was Carla Scott. Now it's Marcia Howe.
Mm-hmm.
And they do a very good job, I think.
Well, good. Now then, another question I forgot to ask you is the fact that you and Viv for a number of years lived in a church.
It was the Swedish Methodist Church. Melita Forsberg made a doll horse that tried to imitate the church, but she got it wrong because we had knocked off some things that had been there originally. But
Yeah, that's at the corner of 2nd and Grant, is that right?
2nd and Grant, across the street from where Dr. Langerman lived.
We might say that when you were living there, it wasn't a church anymore.
It had been a granary owned by the Lundstrom brothers, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Margaret Sansane owned it at the time. We bought it from her, but she was going to make a studio there.
Oh, uh-huh.
But she decided not to, so my husband bought it. It was right after World War II. Building supplies were in short supply. So he thought he'd fix up this church to live in for a while and then build a real house.
Ah,
But we never moved out of it. We stayed there, and my kids grew up in it.
sure.
But it looked like a church, but nobody ever made fun of us for living there for some reason.
Well, I don't know why anybody would make fun of somebody
I
living
don't
in
know.
a church.
Possibility. We always thought it was a little weird, but it served its purpose, and people are still living there.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for this addendum to your...
Yeah.
See there, I'm using a good word there. This addendum to your oral history,
Thank
Margaret.
you.
And
You're
thank you
welcome.
again.